Direct sales is an interesting market and an incredible venue for salespeople all its own. Up next, sales legend Janet Kincaid.
Hello, Nate.
Janet Kincaid.
It is.
How are you?
Hi. It's going okay. How are you?
I'm doing really, really well. I'm glad you could take the time to do this call. We're recording all of this, just so you know. So don't say anything that you're going to regret later.
Got it.
I mean, if you do, let me know. But I'm planning on just rolling.
Okay.
Janet Kincaid, you're a sales legend. In my view of things, you've done some amazing things. You've done some incredible stuff, and you've sold the heck out of. Well, I've never met somebody who sold so much jewelry as you.
Oh, thank you. I have sold a lot of jewelry over the years. It's amazing how many years have gone by. It's a lot of jewelry. I've loved it.
Well, you've been pretty amazing at it. You've done incredible things, and what I want to talk to you about today is the techniques and the skills and the things that you've employed to build your businesses and to sell as much as you have. Let's talk really quick about your business that you built, your most famous one.
Okay, so Kinkade that I began years and years ago. Yeah, so that was really built from a hobby and a passion of making jewelry to desperate measures after my divorce to support and provide for my family. So that was the driving force behind Kinkade, and I think I hit the industry and market right with handcrafted jewelry that kind of meant something. It was very meaningful jewelry that was made right here in Alpine, Utah, and that really resonated with people just wanting a kind of a keepsake piece of jewelry that was meaningful. That seemed to kind of be the niche there. Mm-hmm. And one of the best things I did with Kinkade was I had a friend who kind of led me to look into the direct sales model and kind of building a party plan company for women who could then turn around and, provide their own supplemental income. And that was the best thing I did for Kinkade, was to kind of launch it into that direct selling world and that other women benefit from my hobby and talents, So I think my story was inspiring to others to kind of start something and try and to make a better life for themselves. And that just kind of launched that business into some rapid growth.
Direct sales is a really cool business model, and it does work, as you well know. I won't embarrass you with the exact details, but you become a multimillionaire with your sales skills and doing all the things you've done. What do you think is the biggest mistake that people who are in direct sales make? When you talk to all these people and you see them, I'm sure people come to you for advice left and right. What is the commonality, or if there's maybe more than one thing, but is there anything that you can think of that's, hey, this is a constant problem that I see?
Yeah, I think people see the others, friends and people they know become very successful in direct sales and want that type of success also. But I don't think they realize the work they have to put into it. It's a very successful and profitable business to get into, and some people make it look very easy because they're very good at it, but it does take work. So I think a lot of people will sign up. That's kind of what you do, is you sign up to be a distributor or a consultant and expect that overnight success, and it does take work. It does take some time to build a team, and you've got to be good at it. But once you get that built, it's very rewarding, and the industry is so good at celebrating and kind of encouraging people along the way. There's a lot of really great uplifting elements to direct sales and support and community and just, friendships that are built all across the country. I think the great thing for me with my business in direct sales, kind of on the corporate end, was just the people I was able to meet across the entire state, because you're not limited to just growing your business right in your backyard. The distance is, you're a friend and you can reach out to so many people. So I think people that are interested in direct sales know that it works, but it definitely takes time to build. But the flexibility that you're able to benefit from is worth it. You kind of are your own boss, and the community will support you in that. But it takes time.
In direct sales, you have to kind of generate your own leads, and that's different from a lot of businesses where they have, people walking into your store, or you have an inbound lead. But of course, the remuneration is significantly better. Wouldn't you agree?
It is, yeah, and it is nice because you don't have to have a storefront, but you kind of have your own business. So that's definitely a benefit. And I'm very grateful that my business Kinkade was built on that model. And when I sold that company a few years ago, I sold it to another direct selling company that was quite a bit larger, and so it was able to take my brand and co-brand it with theirs and reach a much larger market, which was fantastic for me. I've started a new business since then, and I chose to not put it into direct sales for different reasons. And there's definitely aspects of that industry that I miss. But doing it a little bit different now, I think the way the world has been the last year with COVID and some of the restrictions, building a social business where you depend on people to come to a party or, kind of selling like that's a little tricky. So there's some hybrid business models that are happening with social selling and just doing kind of more e-commerce.
What kind of advice would you give to somebody who was about to embark on a direct sales career? Well, I mean, not necessarily starting their own company, but going up and signing up for it, just getting in the groove of selling and making things happen. Like where do you start?
Right.
Do you sit down and do you make a list of people you know? What do you do?
Yeah, I really think you do. I think you have to really believe in yourself. You've got to be ready to go, and you've got to love what you're about to sell on. And I think it's the passion that really drives the success and motivation in direct sales, because you've got to love that product that you're promoting, and it's got to come natural. You've got to be authentic, and you've got to be, just as excited. You've got to wear it and share it or use it, whatever the product may be, and you're going to rely on a lot of testimonials of yourself and those that you sell to, and be willing to share those. It's a very shareable, industry, because it's word of mouth is such a great tool to market things, and testimonials, and you can do that with social media now. Is amazing. If you can have a platform where you can share what you believe in and are selling, that's going to do you some great, advertising.
How much of your business has been in person, and how much of it has been over the phone? How much of it's been email? Getting people into the spot where they buy, it's always a process, and my guess is that you probably use a variety of strategies, but what percentage would you say is in person versus digital or phone?
Yeah, the majority is definitely digital, email marketing, text marketing. The business I'm running now, which is called Riva Gray, I'm not doing direct sales, so I believe in that industry. It just didn't work for me this time around. Social marketing is kind of a new body of advertising that's happened since I started, selling jewelry 15 years ago. So I'm learning that. Very effective, but it does primarily make your business, online, and you got to learn that industry of, paid ads, email marketing, text marketing, and that is by far how I'm reaching people. I do some in person, but I'm not out there in person like I used to do with direct sales, doing events and opportunity events and some training. That kind of all stopped. So now it's a lot of videos.
Direct sales though is a lot in person, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yes. And even with the way the world has changed, there's still so much in person through Zoom and that sort of thing, where you can do training videos and, workshops and still reach people and see their face and have that connection and that you need to, face to face. Definitely still happening.
One of the things I've always liked about you is that in my view of things, you've always been able to manage a really nice level of energy. A lot of women in sales and business overcompensate with masculine energy in order to try to measure up or whatever that is. But you're unusual because I think you're a person who understands who you are, and you're not trying to be someone else. And I think that's one of the reasons you've come off so well in the business world, is because you're not threatening to anyone. You're a smart, sophisticated, clever person who works really hard, and that's very, very appealing. Do you have any feelings about that subject?
Well, thank you. No, I think you kind of hit it. A lot of what I have done over the years has been very much out of my comfort zone. And so I tend to really try to stay authentic. I am not trying to.
Oh, and that you are. You're very authentic.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and I think that has helped me, and I've learned to be proud of that. And I have to trust myself that that's okay and not get caught up in trying to be like other people I see that inspire me. I'm just trying to be myself and be a little bit better than I was today, because I think that my story, which has a lot of elements to it, becomes very inspiring to other women who are maybe, needing to something new on their own, or leave an unhealthy relationship, or need to make a little income. I want them to know that it's never too late to start. I've started and stopped, and I've had to keep doing that. And it's okay to start with just who you are. You don't need to be anybody else. Just be who you are, but be passionate about something. Be proud of your story. Trust yourself. And I like to focus. I'm a very busy person. I have a creative mind.
I asked you for this interview 2 weeks ago, and this was your first availability. So,
I know.
Yeah, but it's great. No, do not apologize. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah. And
so you are busy.
Yeah.
You are doing
I stay busy all day, so at night my brain kind of races with the creativity aspect that I love. And
you're a very impressive individual,
Well, if I focus on what keeps me awake at night, that's what kind of fuels me. Like, that's what I love to keep thinking of new things. And I don't know, I lay awake at night with some exciting ideas, and that's where I like to.
I'm the same way.
That's what inspires me, right?
Yeah.
So,
that's what keeps things alive and keeps it working. But I do think I think that women in particular do have a great advantage. They're less threatening than men. You come face to face with me, I'm sort of scary looking. You know what I mean? And,
right.
Yeah. I mean, and it's my culture to not necessarily smile a lot, so I've had to learn to do more. And the way I force a smile is always tell a lot of jokes and screw around. That makes things funny. Otherwise, I just look like my face. I just got one of those faces. So I got this beard and I'm this big scary dude. And a lot of times I think that men in general can come off pretty intimidating in environments. And obviously, there's no shortage of men in sales, and some of us have done very, very, very well. There's less women who've done well in sales, generally speaking. But I believe quite openly that women have an advantage over men in many scenarios in the sales world if they were to apply it, if they were to learn to do it, if they would learn to make it happen. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. I think women are really good at supporting women. I think men, this is my own opinion, I think men become a little more competitive with each other, where I think like women who can really see potential in each other want to support each other. And I have felt that.
A woman like you does. Not some women can get pretty hard on each other, but I agree. The potential there is that. But what I'm really talking about is the interface with customers, right? So like I've had to look for ways to kind of diminish my size and put my hands behind my back and kind of stand at an angle and try to look not 6'2" and scary,
kind of
right?
Soften it,
yeah. But I had to keep the beard because I have a baby face under this. I look like I'm 24 if I don't have it. So I need this to. So it's this constant balance. Whereas a woman, just about any woman is going to have a soft nature to them. As a man, I grew up. My mother's a woman. My grandmother's a woman, both of them. You know what I mean? And I have sisters. And so for me, I have always had positive experiences with women and things, so on and so forth, And when Dad came home, it was always trouble, right? So I think there is something powerful, though, about being a woman where you can go into a situation, you can go into a sales situation, and you're not going to be off-putting as a man might be. I go into train some guys who are going to be selling some condos or whatever. And literally, they all, you go into, it's a sea of men, but you get one or two women in there who really know what they're doing, and they're going to just absolutely slash through it because they go sit down with a couple. The woman likes her, the man likes her. You know what I mean? Especially if the energies are balanced, right?
Yeah, definitely. There's power in that. I think women have a subtle power to them that is
They
very
do.
effective.
They do. And I'm always a big fan, whenever I've done consulting for businesses and stuff, one of the things I've always told them, I said, hey, let's foster women's salespeople, you know what I mean? Women's customer service, let's foster it. And I don't mean receptionists. Receptionists, for the most part, they don't know what the heck they're doing. They just answer a call and whatever. There's almost zero problem-solving skills that are being exhibited, so on and so forth. But I'm talking about customer service people and salespeople and managers. Women have this ability to do that, and I'm all for any business that wants to work on that and create a larger portion of their business that way. Because I'll tell you, I used to work in the car business, and I always talk about the car business a lot because almost everyone can identify with cars because almost everyone's bought one. And whereas not everyone's bought dress real estate, So I remember in situations, you have a family in there, or even a single woman, and there's like 9 guys in there, and they're all trying to like twist your arm and get you to buy. I mean, that's not always the best situation for everybody. But if you have a woman whose energies are balanced properly, and when I say balanced properly, not trying to be a man, well, you have a real shot at really going in there, because a lot of people do overcompensate. You know what I mean? They try to go in there and be a man. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever noticed women in sales who try to put on a masculine mask and really try to be a man?
Yeah, you do see that. I'm not a huge fan of that. I tend to I love women who are confident. I think confidence can sell anything, and just being smart and knowing so much about what you are selling. But to me, being confident, and that doesn't take much. You don't have to be at a certain level of success to be confident. Just to me, that's a huge selling point, and it's impressive. And I think that's a great starting point, is to be able to feel that way. And really, that comes from mindset. I think we all have confidence, but getting our mindset in the right place to really let that show in our posture, in our attire, and just everything we do. I think confidence can be a huge
for sure. It goes back to what you were saying about authenticity, right? Because when you're putting on some show, you're pretending to be stronger than you are, you're pretending to be a man, or you're pretending to have answers to questions you don't have, or you're pretending to whatever it may be. The pretending is a problem. And I think that's why it comes off so poorly. And I think that's really why there's not as many women in sales, because I think most of them are intimidated by the opportunity. But I think it's such a mistake, because I think they'd be so good generally speaking, Now you mentioned another word. You said attire. Talk about what you wear. You're a very tasteful dresser, and you look fabulous every time I see you. You always look great, even in casual settings. Well, no, that's true. You're a very tasteful, classy woman, and you have a way of carrying yourself. Would you mind talking about how you carry yourself professionally? With the men, it's pretty easy. Men, it's like there's a business appropriate, which is a shirt, tie, and or a jacket or a suit of some sort, or maybe a polo shirt, and then there's everything else, right? With women, it's a lot more fluid, isn't it? And
I think it's important. There's a fine line, and it's a little bit tricky, and I don't claim to be expert on it, but it's very important.
I will tell you, you are an expert on this. You are an expert on this, so that's why we're asking you. I, Nate Holtzaffel, have just proclaimed you an expert. You are.
Okay, well, there you go. I appreciate that.
All right.
I just think it really says a lot about who you are, the way you present yourself and carry yourself, and the way you look and the way people see you. And I think it's important to create a little bit of your own style. I am in my 50s, and so I'm not trying to dress like a 20-year-old, but I'm definitely still trying to be very much on trend.
Yeah, but anybody listening to this, I don't want anyone to get confused on this. You're in your 50s, but you're a beautiful woman in your 50s. Don't play it down like somehow you could absolutely dress fairly provocative and get away with a lot of different things. So that's some humility. I do appreciate that, but just for people listening to this, I want them to understand that this is how a sophisticated, attractive, tall, beautiful woman explains her look and her style. Continue.
Thank you. Well, it's hard, it shouldn't be a hard thing to do to dress nice It doesn't need to cost a lot of money. It just needs to have some good attention put towards it. And it's okay to ask for help on that level. If that's something that you're not comfortable with, find a friend who is and let them help you. I've helped a lot of people pull off a look for an event or a speaking engagement, and it's fun to help them and, to encourage them to try something a little bit new. But yeah, I love to follow trends and styles, and so I'll try to focus in on one or two that I think will work for me, keeping it kind of age appropriate and what fits my body type. Again, just staying true to who I am, but really trying to, just come across as good but keeping it classy and nice and
keeping it classy. All right. Keeping it classy. That's a great subject. Talk about keeping it classy.
You got to treat yourself to some new things that make you feel like $1 million. A new blazer, a new pair of great shoes, or a new handbag that makes you feel like $1 million when you leave your house. That's important because you'll carry yourself different if you just, took the time to kind of spend a few minutes on yourself to really look good. If it's makeup that you're not comfortable with, go figure out what it is, what makeup, keeping it authentic, but it's okay to ask for help, but you've got to spend some time getting that right because it's important.
Well, let me ask you, I love what you just said there. I think that's totally right. I'm going to say a word, and then I want you to tell me what you think about it. It'll be reactionary. All right.
Okay.
Modesty.
Okay. Yeah, I think modesty is individual. I think you need to decide for yourself what your modest level is and be okay with that. I don't know. Everyone's modest level is different. Clearly you don't want to be revealing, but you need to let the good parts of you show, if that's your legs or your shoulders or your neck. Like, you need to make sure that you are letting the good parts of you show, but keeping things modest. Man, that's an interesting word because I think we all have different opinions on what that is, and it's different for everyone. But
I guess what I'm asking you is, as an expert, as a newly inducted member of experts to the world of fashion, I would like to go ahead and ask you, what are your versions? What are the things that you ignore? Because here's the thing: sure, we can give that kind of that general, politically correct. Everybody has their own truth thing, whatever. But the truth is that there's people who make millions of dollars in sales, like you and me, and then there's everybody else who doesn't. And so the people who are listening to this are looking for people who are experts and so forth. And you are an expert. That's why you're here. You're a sales legend. You're an amazing human being. What are your definitions for you? What do you avoid, and what do you look for when you're discussing your attire? I really do think this is important because with men it's pretty easy. Like, I'll go to a Salesforce and almost every time I'll be like, go get a shirt that fits you. Like it's too big. Wash this thing. It looks gross. The tie is gross. Change this. Whatever. Or put on a jacket. If it's or you know what. Your polo shirt's got cat hair on the back of it. For guys, it's pretty easy, and it's not a super sensitive topic for them. But for women, and I'm not a woman. I don't know if you've ever noticed that.
Yeah, I know.
It's it's not necessarily it's not always best coming from a person like me. I mean, like, I can talk about it and things, whatever, but I'd really rather defer to your expertise on this. What sorts of things does the wonderful, miraculous, incredible Janet Kincaid, what do you look for in your professional attire?
Well, thank you. So for me, I'm tall, which I think helps a lot.
Yes,
of things.
you are.
And
how tall are you, Janet?
I'm 5'9".
Yes, so, you're very tall.
That's tall. I don't like to wear things that are tight, very, very tight on me, but I like to wear things that are short and then, let my legs show or something. I love blazers. I think blazers and then like some nice fitted jeans are great and a low cut V-neck. I think blazers are very classy. You really need to fit your body shape. I think you need to be clean and pressed, and you need to have some color. I tend to want to wear neutrals, but I'll always try to add a little pop of color. I think that makes you stand out, and you have to kind of do that carefully. But I know what looks good on me. I know that I like my without sounding, too conceited and all that, I tend to like things fitted, like a blazer. I like jeans that fit. I'm tall. I love to wear a heel because it makes me even taller. I think if you're tall, that helps your confidence level. But, I stay away from things that are very tight. I don't think that draws the eyes the right way. I think it's distracting. But getting things to fit right is nice. I'm not saying I don't wear things that are all baggy. It's just there's a balance,
Indeed.
Nice
What do you think that there's any risks, or there are any risks? Do you think there's any risks from being too immodest or too clothing that's too provocative? Do you think that poses any risks to a woman in the world of sales?
Oh, absolutely, and I very much do. I mean, I think you don't want the attention to go to what you're wearing. I think you want the attention to be on how you look overall, not to specific parts of your body that are drawing attention. You want it to just be an overall look and feel that feels professional, clean, put together, well thought, and very presentable. I think that's the overall impression that people get of you. If you're being too provocative and trying to focus, attention on a certain part of your body, that's distracting, and they're going to forget what it is that you're there to sell. I do. In my experience, watching, sales forces, being parts of them, having them, and certainly no one who's ever worked for me has ever done any of this. But I've been parts of businesses, and I've been hired to consult and train. And I've noticed that there are some women who end up kind of sexualizing themselves, and in a way, in doing that, because men are visual, right? We're visual, and you don't, and then there's the attitudes like, well, you should just wear whatever you want. Yeah, you should, but in the real world, it's not about should; it's about what really actually works. And I've noticed that the women that tend to do that tend to marginalize themselves, and the men that like them aren't going to do anything but try to date them, and the ones that are off-put by them don't want to do business with them, and it alienates almost every single woman in the building, including the customers. I think there is a really, really, really easy way to really ruin your energy in your job and with your customers. Do you agree with that? I do agree. I think a lot of energy comes from the way you present yourself and look, and you want that to be the right kind of energy. And back to keeping it classy, you've got to make yourself look good. And I do hear a lot of women say, I don't know what to wear, or I hate to shop, or I don't wear makeup. That's okay. There are plenty of people to help you.
And you don't have to wear a ton of makeup, but just like you said, learning how to be presentable is important. A little bit of eyeliner, maybe even a light lip gloss. It's just, I've seen women who pulled off very, very minimal things, and
that's even better.
Look wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah.
But,
I think that's actually probably a little bit more in line with your theory on makeup, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I don't wear a lot, but I do wear makeup. I think you need it, to smooth things out and to have, definitely. But don't be afraid to ask for help, to just get yourself in that place where you are putting off that energy that is going to make you more successful and feel more professional. And you're going to feel really good about yourself. It might be hard to get there, but once you do, you'll have the tools you need to carry that on. And it's going to make a big difference. As
lovely as you are and wonderful, whatever, I got to say that I've always admired the way you carry yourself, and I've always considered you an equal and somebody who is smart and has things to offer despite your beauty. And I think with a lot of people, it's easy to, it's like, if you drive an exotic car every day, you kind of become an accessory to the car a little bit.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, that's the guy who drives the Ferrari. You know what I mean? And I like sports cars. I like cars. I got a bunch of them. But it's very easy to end up becoming that accessory to the item. And I think the same way it ends up becoming. Oh, you mean the girl with the big? Oh, you mean that girl with the miniskirt? Oh yeah. Or you mean the girl with the big blonde hair? Yeah. There's nothing wrong with any of those things. But it definitely can be distracting and take away from what you're actually offering. And the reason we're at work, the reason I go to work, is to make money. to generate income for my business, for me, for my peers, for my family. And I think you are a person who's always just really, you've never become the accessory to you. Your personality and your mindset are foremost. And I think that's a very good, I think it's about as good a compliment as anyone can ever give. And I think it's about as good a compliment as anyone could ever get.
Well, it is. Thank you, Nate, for saying that. I don't want to say I've worked hard to get there, but I've worked hard to not only make my business a success, but like you said, to make myself, for people to like me, not just my product, right? And again, back to being authentic and kind of keeping it classy and being truly just trust myself and being true to who I want to be.
There's currently 2 women that so companies will, hire me to train some of their salespeople or some of their managers or executives. There's 2 different women I'm working with right now, and both have expressed to me issues of men wanting meetings, or wanting to do a deal with them or so on and so forth, and then ultimately finding out that their motives were ulterior. They weren't interested in the product. They weren't interested in anything. They wanted to date them. They wanted a physical relationship with them, right? Because that's men. Men are hunters, right? And it's a sad thing to hear. And another gal that who I know just recently, somebody else, whatever, that I advised, she took a new job, and they had offered her the sun, moon, and stars, but ultimately it wasn't because she was the best candidate. They saw her as a piece of meat. And so I think it's very, very easy to really. It may seem like an advantage, but at really, end of the day, it's a crippling blow, and it'll set you up for a lot of failures. And a lot of guys will waste your time. I can't tell you how many times I've had, female sales employees tell me, "Well, I'm just so tired of guys hitting on me." And I said, "Well, stop dressing like it's Halloween. Well, stop dressing like it's Halloween, and you'll stop attracting ghouls and goblins. Like that's a thing. And it's like, is that right? No. We're not living in the world of fair. We're not living in the world of right. We're living in the world of nickels, dimes, and practicality. So I think that's a very good thing, and I really wanted to ask you about that because you do this so well. But you know what? Coincidentally, every woman that I do interview, every woman that that is a sales legend, that is amazing, you guys all have something in common. You're all modest, you're all careful, but still attractive. I mean, it's apparent that you're a woman. No one thinks that you're a guy. I've never been in a minute where I thought, well, that's an awfully masculine outfit you're wearing there. You always look great, On to another subject. No, it's true. On to another subject. When it comes down to referrals within the direct sales market, how are those best acquired? How do you go out and grab those?
So let me see if I understand that. So referrals to get people to join or to become part of your business in the direct selling world. A lot of opportunity events are held, I believe, to kind of share what it is that the business is about and creating opportunity and letting people see what that looks like for them and how it can change their life from a small scale to large scale. I mean, I think the thing about direct sales is somebody that needs to make $500 a month can do that, and someone that needs to make $5,000 or $10,000 a month, you're able to do that in direct sales. And so it's the opportunity that becomes attractive and gets people in the door to want to learn more.
And I totally agree with that. Every business revolves around sales, and referrals are the most inexpensive but yet hardest to get for people because they don't know how to ask for them. What I'm asking you is, how would you, if you were advising someone right now who was in direct sales and they wanted to go out and get referrals, more people to buy their products, to join their team, are there any tactics that you would use specifically for this industry?
I mean, you have to put yourself out there. I think you need to hit, networking events, and you need to support
like what? That's a great term, but it's vague at best. So give me a rundown. What's a networking event?
Well, they're held all over. They're becoming very popular.
Yeah, but like what though? Like name something. Yeah, but name something. Are we talking about? What are we talking about here? What's a networking event? We're talking about a baseball game? We're talking about
no, what I'm talking about more are networking events for other entrepreneurial people in business, where you're meeting other like-minded people who want to grow their businesses. Mm-hmm. And so you're kind of networking to find out, what it is that they do and sharing what you do and then making connections that they may know someone that is looking for type of opportunity that you offer, or vice versa. I mean, I go to them to find out, I'm in the need for some marketing help right now. So I go to networking events to learn more about marketing, to hopefully meet some people.
Where would someone find these? Where would someone find these marketing or these networking events? Where do you become aware of them?
Well, for me, I just I'm in tune with people who go to these and hold these, and they'll share with them on social media, on Instagram that they attended, and then I'll, look it up and check.
All right, because a lot of people who are on Instagram just following a bunch of girls in bikinis, or they're following,
you need to follow. No. You need to follow
some inspirational quote thing, which makes you feel like it's okay to be single when you're 50, right?
There are plenty of.
There's a lot of crap out there. So I'm just saying, if I'm flipping through my Instagram, I don't necessarily know that I'm going to see any networking opportunities. What would you say to somebody who didn't really have your connections and your things? Where would they LinkedIn? I mean, what would be a good place to become aware of some of these events?
Yeah, I honestly think it's who you know. So start talking to people who that own businesses, that it can even be from a product that you love. Find out more about that owner and how she, networked her business. I don't know. My Instagram is full of them because that's who I follow. I follow a lot of business accounts that are sharing these opportunities locally. So if you're local to Utah, then find Utah events. I follow a lot of business owners, and I see them attending events, and so I'll click on those.
Okay, so following business owners on social media, that's a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Because they're going to share that, and then promote their business as well as the events, and then you can go and do the same. That's how I find them. But
okay.
I just think you can't just, if you're looking for referrals, I don't know. I don't really use that word a lot. For me, it's just connecting. You got to stay connected.
Sure, but the vernacular is what's constant throughout things. You got to realize a lot of people who are listening to this or will listen to this are people who are looking to improve and looking to be better. And the whole point of bringing on an expert like you is to share your knowledge and your wisdom. All I do is use the vocabulary that is most understood.
Well, I think anyone listening to this, if you want to grow or to be a part of that networking circle, just try to find one or two people that who are also entrepreneurial or looking for growth. Talk to them, and then let them share 2 or 3 names, and you connect with them, and then they share 2 or 3 names. You've got to put yourself out there. You've got to be able to share what you're looking for and what you're doing. And it will just happen. I really believe that. It's about who you stay connected with. You don't want to forget anybody from your past. You want to stay well connected.
Okay, great. The thing about it is that I like what you're saying. But when you go to these networking events, I don't know if you've probably been called to speak at them or be on a panel or something several times, haven't you?
I have spoke at them, yes.
Yeah, it happens to me all the time. So I get asked to come out and do these things, right? And sometimes I'll notice there's people who literally will come up to me and actually ask me a question and talk to me, or they'll follow me on social media during the event or right afterwards, and they'll send a direct message, hey, I like this, whatever, I want to follow you. I've noticed that a lot of the people who do come to these events don't necessarily talk. They kind of hang out in the back. They don't really talk to anyone and they leave. So going to one of these events, it's not just about just showing up. It's actually actual communication, the actual getting along and meeting people while you're at the event. Otherwise, it's not. It's like going to the gym. If you don't do the exercises, who cares?
Absolutely. The networking is not. It's not what somebody else is going to do for you. You have to do it. And like I said earlier, a lot of what I do is outside of my comfort zone, and that is one of them. But like you said, when you speak and someone comes up to you after and asks you a question, yes, they're headed in the right direction because they're walking up there, they're finding you, and they're asking you a question. They're going to follow you, and that's what you have to do. You can't just show up and think the networking is going to happen. You have to make it happen. You have to be the one asking the questions. and then following along. If you go to a networking event, you should leave with, well, depending on how many are there, but many, many, many people to go follow. And you could go follow them, and in a week, if you don't like what you see, you can unfollow them. If you love what you see, then go to who they follow and follow some of them. I mean, it's kind of a silly game, but it works, and I become very inspired by other people and who they're connecting with.
But you don't follow people on the contingency that they follow you back, correct?
That they what? I'm sorry.
You don't follow them with a contingency that they follow you back in order to keep following them,
not.
correct?
Oh no. And you should never worry about how many followers or who follows or they unfollow you. That does not matter. No.
I've had people who will pop on follow me because I don't have that many people following me. I've got some, but it's not like in the millions or even hundreds of thousands, right? You know. And so even with a small group like 20,000 people, you can tell when some people just disappear. They'll follow you for a little while, and then ultimately, if you don't follow them back, they're out of there because they want to. I think a lot of people, salespeople in particular, there is a level of ego that exists. Do you agree with that?
I think there is. I don't like to fall into that category, but I think that there is.
I don't think you do.
Stuff like that.
I don't either. But I think there's a natural. But I think there's a natural inclination for it.
Of course.
And the harvesting.
People, it boosts people. It motivates them a little bit. And people are following and watching and.
There's a guy with a television show. His name's Marcus Lemonis. Do you know who that is?
I don't.
He's had this show on TV. I don't know if it's still on, whatever, but he's this big deal, and he's a really interesting guy. I got to meet him a couple of times. He sometimes buys clothes at one of the stores where I buy my clothes, and he was there, and we were talking, and when we were done, he followed me on Twitter or something, and I remember thinking, oh, that's really, really cool, and I went immediately and I followed him back. It felt good to have somebody really important like that. With their own show, someone who was a big deal, follow you, whatever. But really, at the end of the day, I got more of the conversation from talking to the guy, and more from watching his posts than I did from the emotional high of having somebody important follow you. You know what I mean?
Follow you.
I think that's a thing that's important to guard against. I think you are a person who's done very, very well in that aspect. I don't think you've allowed your ego to override.
I would say that's true. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if people follow me back, it's very flattering if it's someone that that of influence or whatever.
Sure.
But it's not going to change my course or change me.
I guess that's
it's okay to unfollow.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of the thing is that as people who are listening to this, I just want people to really realize it's okay to follow people and not have them follow you back. It's okay if they don't respond to your comment. You're there for the information. You're not there for free feelings. If you're involved in it for feelings, you're probably in the wrong business. You should probably get a job at one of those rescue puppy things where you can rescue puppies, and it's great. It's amazing. There's no money in it, but it really does feel good. You save these little dogs and you give them to new owners. It's great. But if you're going to be in a business,
those feelings won't last. I mean, that shouldn't be where you're drawing your ultimate emotional feelings from, because that's not going to last. Everything social media driven is quick. It's a quick turnaround, but that's okay. I unfollow people all the time because I want to see something new, and I've gotten used to them, and so you shouldn't build or contain all the feelings that you get from that, because it's not going to last.
That's interesting. It's fleeting, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
That's really interesting.
But
so many things. Give me one more little tidbit here, and I'm going to kind of let you go with it because you got so much to offer the world. What would you say is the most important part of your success? Is it time management? Is it attitude? Is it the types of products that you've decided to sell? Geographic location? How old you are? Like, what would you say is the crucial thing?
That's a tricky question. It's such a combination of many, many things. But if I need to narrow it down, I know. Because I've done a lot over the years, and I've started again several times. And so I've learned, I think trusting myself has been a big thing, because I can sometimes just think, oh, I can't do this again. But trusting myself and really focusing on what I'm good at. I've done jewelry for a long time, and I sometimes think I want to try something different, but it's what I know, it's what I'm good at, and so I continue to do that. So focusing on what I'm really good at, trusting myself, and also just knowing that you don't need to know everything before you start. You figure it out along the way. Because like I said, I've started over and over because, the times change and our access to help changes. And so part of the fun is learning, constantly learning. Even though I started and sold a business years ago that was very successful, I'm still learning because times have changed, and I love that. And so I have to trust myself that not knowing everything as I do it, that's okay.
So
mindset, I love mindset is everything, because we control that. Nobody else does. We control our mindset, and I have to wake up and put my mind in the right place. I'm still a single mom. I don't really have a spouse who's pushing me, and so waking up and creating the right mindset for my day is so important to my success.
Okay, mindset, and then being open to learning, constantly learning, because you don't have all the answers.
Constantly learning. Even though you've done so much, you know that. You've had success, and I would think you're still learning. You meet new people.
I'm learning right now on this phone call.
Yeah. Good. Well, good. Yeah. But one thing, just over the course of my career, based on kind of what led me to start and the journey I've been through in my personal life, I do know that my story is very inspiring to women who find themselves in some hard situations.
Inspiring to me, big old heterosexual Christian Nate sitting over here, full of toxic masculinity. I find you to be very inspirational. So I don't think it's just women. I think a lot of people find you inspirational. And my good friend John, who's an incredible business person, he and I have nothing but the highest admiration for you and your skills. We're both very impressed by you, and we've never had a word about you that hasn't been wow.
Oh, thank you. But I had to learn to be okay with sharing a lot of the hard parts of my journey, and that's been important to me because I've had a lot of people reach out to me that have appreciated that, and so that also drives me. I think it's very important.
You said something interesting there, and I got to touch on it because it's so important. I think you said sharing the hard parts of your journey, but I think sharing the hard parts of your journey without adopting the identity of a victim.
Correct.
Because I've never seen you as a victim, because you've got all kinds. You've got all kinds of stories that are hard and rough, but I've never identified you as a victim, and I don't believe you've ever adopted identity. I know a lot of people want to get on their social media and be like, hey, I own this business and I'm black. I own this business and I'm gay. I own this business and I'm a young man. I own this business and I'm a senior citizen. I own this business and I'm a vet. I own this business and I'm missing both my arms and my legs, and I don't have part of my brain. It's like, okay, great, but they've made that their identity, and no one can take them fully seriously because they've dipped into an identity that's a tragedy in some cases. I've got cancer and I'm doing this. So, go ahead.
No, that doesn't work. That will bring you down. You have to let the hard parts of your story, let that motivate you, and that's what it's done for me. And
you can share them, can't you? But you can share them without making it your identity, though, right? It doesn't have to be your Instagram bio.
No, I pick and choose how I share and who I share it with. Because I'm protective of it, but I also want the right people to hear about it and be okay with it. But that is definitely what drives me. That's my fuel.
Much like inappropriate clothing in the workplace, if a man were to wear a tank top, into, or a pair of some Speedos into the office, or a woman's going to wear something that just shows, a navel and too much cleavage. These types of things are distracting from what our real message is. And the same way a victim's identity, a tragedy can do that. I've had so many entrepreneurs and salespeople who followed me, and you look at their bios, and it's just like, single mom of 4, beat cancer, my ex is a narcissist, or some guy will be like, I was raised poor and this and that, and that becomes their storyline. And while it's an interesting detail, it's distracting from the actual business. And I do business with people who I like, and more importantly, have something that I actually want. I might go to some dumb entrepreneur fairs and stuff, whatever, once in a while, and buy a bunch of homemade soaps and stupid things just to, make kids happy and to support them. But in the real world, I'm not going to go walk by and be like, you know what? I didn't need a Toyota Camry, but since you're so afflicted with all these things, you're gay, Jewish, lesbian, paraplegic, who's got cancer, I guess I'm going to have to get that Camry.
True.
I mean, you're not going to do that. So I think that that's something that's really impressive that you just said. And I just wanted to expound on it. And I think it's really important to share your story, share your hardships, but not make that your identity. Yeah. And Janet Kincaid, you have done that in ways few people have, and your results are the proof in the pudding. You can't deny that. You can't deny math. When anybody ever criticizes somebody who's doing something really well, I think, you'd love to have their success, though, wouldn't you? So, so in my mind, you're a real winner in every sense of the word, and in my sense of it, you are a champion.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to do this call. I sure appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Nate. All right, bye-bye.
What a wonderful human being. Quite frankly, I've known Janet for just about 10 years, and I've got to tell you, she's just a fabulous salesperson, responsible, smart, great at follow-up, scheduled, organized, and an excellent manager of her time, her salespeople, and all she does. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't, up in the top left-hand corner. Go to our next video or go ahead down below and give us a call. Sales Therapy, we're here for you.